Hello, Jenny Funkmeyer here, Parallel University. Today's topic is your resurrection, my resurrection from death while I'm still alive, right? Let's explain what it means, what resurrection means in my way, in the Parallel University way. I know resurrection is a word that has been used by many different people in different ways, so I just want to define it for Parallel University, for my parallel universe. This is how I define resurrection. It means to die and then walk back into the same body. So let's look at what die means, death. I have a video called What Happens When You Die. That's what happens when you actually go through a body death, the end of your life, and finish. So death is kind of a 100% thing. It means that you will not be able to see any of the people you know in the last life and be in the same place. You will have a memory scramble and you don't remember. Basically, you don't remember who you were. So in death, it's a pretty kind of total 100% things. What is happening right now because of humanity's advancement? We are all one. So individually, we're dying, and we have individual advancement, right? So some people are better, and some people are not as good. But as a whole, humanity is also ascending, going up high and high into a higher level. Eventually, every last person is going to ascend to a higher level. That's just the process of nature, or you can say God designed it that way. We have no real control. There are too many of us. We don't know who is going up, who is going down, who is sliding back into a lower dimension, and who is really getting higher and higher and higher dimension. We hear about the famous cases. It's famous because it's something that humanity should know. And as a whole, famous people, good or bad, good and bad, Jesus, Hitler, famous movie star, famous writer, terrible monsters, dictators, all those historical figures is humanity, and it's kind of an example of how humanity is ascending to a higher level. Right now, what I'm telling you, and this is my assessment, again, this is just me talking. You don't have to believe it. Just listen to me as a story. I would appreciate it. I am saying happening right now in our reality is that planet Earth and all people and all things on it, the trees, the ants, the insects, and especially the sentient beings, the entire planet Earth with all its inhabitants, everything about it, is ascending to a higher level using the process of resurrection. It is in the past history of Mother Earth, it has always gone in a more drastic way of doing her ascension. She will go through a pole shift in which the magnetic pole of the planet itself suddenly shifts, causing great destruction to the inhabitants of the planet. Land will sink, certain land will come up, water will cover more or less of the earth, and this has been going on ever since planet Earth, which is a relatively young planet in terms of all the other planets and galaxies, has been, so planet Earth is a young child, has been ascending using the method of death. It dies, it goes through the process. Do see that video, what happens when you die, because that's what happens when planet Earth dies as well. What happens to you is what happens to planet Earth. It goes through a magnetic pole shift, killing a lot of people, keeping some people randomly, I must say. It's not the good people are kept and the bad people are saved. Nature does not make that kind of selection. It's just kind of, you know, wherever the ground splits up, good people, bad people, boom, it goes in. Where the land sinks, good people, bad people, ooh, just like wiped out. Just like the death that happens to you and me, 100%, everything just goes, right? For planet Earth as well, it's just when the pole shift, when huge nature event happens, raining for 1,000 years, desert turned into rainforest, not raining for 1,000 years, rainforest turned into desert, things like that keep happening. That's resurrection. In death, it happens so fast that planet Earth was able to get rid of a lot of the inhabitants, get rid of a lot of the old things, and keeping some memory of new way she wants to be. She wants to ascend to a higher level. She wants to be a more mature planet. And it's not a choice. That's just what happens in God's plan or in history. So planet Earth is evolving, and the evolving process is called resurrection, because when planet Earth, if it actually dies, it just disappears, no longer exists. So planet Earth has not used death to ascend to a higher dimension. Planet Earth has been using resurrection to go into a new dimension. So resurrection is happening now, more accelerated than ever. And it's really just happening and happening. Whether you like it or not, your resurrection is happening. You are either resurrecting or you're just dying, right? So let's look at the process. Now, this video is really the video after the video that says what happens when you die. So if you see that video, there's a lot of information that's going to be repeated here, because the resurrection process is the death process, but you don't die 100%. How much of you die is up to you. And then how much of you you keep, that's up to you. That's resurrection in a nutshell. It means to die and then walk back in the same body. It means when you die, it's 100% wipe out, but in resurrection, certain percentage of you is dying, it's death, and then certain percentage of you is resurrected into the new body, and it's the same body. So it's a living process. Certain belief system thinks it's a process that is very mysterious. You go into the dark for 3 days and then you come back and all that. I'm not talking about that. That's somebody else's theory about resurrection. I'm using the same words, but it's about a living process here in Parallel University, right? Okay. Any questions? By the way, I go live, and if you happen to be online and you see this and you want to ask a question, please go ahead. And if it's a good question, I will immediately answer you, or I will answer you later when I finish the live stream. I would answer you in the comments. And you can also write in your comments and express your ideas, and I would try to answer if it requires an answer, or I really like to hear your response. That's what makes me really excited, is to hear your response and what you think about what I'm talking about here. And it's really a discussion. So I hope you just write me something right now. There's no other time but now, or after the video. Okay, let's move on to seeing it means to die and then walk back in the same body. So let's look at death. Death, of course, the big death. We're calling this the small death. The big death is like, right? So, done. We talked about all that in the other video. Right here about resurrection. Death in resurrection basically means a love affair ends, a job goes south, you fire, you quit, a humongous accident, like shit happens, a loved one dies, like your reality goes through this kind of earth-shaking change. There's no denying it that shit happened, ED. Like, there's a certain death in a certain portion of your reality. And despite best intention, you and the other people just know it. Time has come and it's like over. Death always comes kind of suddenly, no matter how prepared you are, no matter how you're like, okay, I'm just going to be really conscious about my death. I am making sure I know that, all things that begins must end. I am born and therefore I'm dead. And, like, basically we all kind of know that death is going to be a part of anything that happens in duality. But no matter how much you prepare, it always comes at us suddenly. It's just like, that's why they said the Grim Reaper just kind of shows up at your door and you're like, whoa! Is it time? Like that. So nobody wants a marriage, in that it's been going on fabulously for 35 years, or grandchildren, children, everything great. Suddenly you're like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of my wife or my husband. It's over. It's been over 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I've just been living in death. I'm just like sitting here, not really alive, just kind of like just enduring day by day. Now, there are also people that are not doing that, right? They're sitting in the same job for 25, 35 years and they're happy. They're okay. They're okay with it. So death is an individual case. So try to listen to this, not like looking for what didn't fit. Try to look for what fits. So I'm saying a certain portion of your reality is just like, you just recognize it. You know when it just comes and it just goes. So in death, the way you would deal with it is you would get a divorce, you would quit your job, you will get some kind of illness that maybe actually kills you. A lot of illness are actually really good for you. Illness is actually always good for you. It's responding, your body responding to what your intention wants. So these things are kind of showing up in your field to show you that, well, okay, I don't know. Someone says the video is cutting out. I hope, you know, you will have to listen to it afterwards, I guess, after the live stream. So anyway, you will do something that kind of ends the thing. Now, don't despair. It's good. Sometimes some things just have to just kind of die. It just has to kind of go away. A divorce has to happen. The job has to be quit. You know, the illness kills you actually, literally, and you know, it's death. So sometimes that's what happens. You feel angry, you feel depressed, you feel sick, you feel sad, you feel shit, you feel like shit, okay? And shit happens, no kidding, no kidding. In shit happens, fun happens too, that's right. But the gist about death, and I mean, these things are kind of like, you know, it depends on who you are, and it depends on what actually happened, but basically you stay the same. You refuse to change. You stay the exact same guy. You're like, you didn't learn shit. You're just like, you know, some love affair ends, you get a divorce, you quit the girlfriend, next thing you know, you get the exact same girlfriend. Okay? And that girlfriend is a shit. Get rid of the girlfriend, you stay the same, you get the same girlfriend again. That girlfriend is also shit. You get a divorce, you stay the same, you get rid of the girlfriend, you get the same girlfriend again. So, whether you are enjoying the death process while you are alive instead of the resurrection process, the telltale sign is your life stays pretty much the same. I'm going to tell you my own story so you can understand that I do the same thing. Most of us do the same thing. Most of us just dies and come back and born again, get a new girlfriend, die, stay the same, get a new girlfriend, just die. So the telltale sign in your reality, if things are repeating, you hate a job, you quit a job, you get the same job. Basically, you're not enjoying resurrection, you're enjoying death. And that's not just you, it's me, of course. Okay. I'm going to tell you my personal story, my personal resurrection in a moment when I explain the whole process, so I can walk you through the entire process with my personal journey right now. Okay, so that's how I teach, by the way. I teach by sharing and learning from you. Yeah, I'm a teacher who's just learning from you and just share my life, because it's not, when you learn things, it's not really what the teacher says, it's what the teacher, how the teacher lives. So maybe all that I'm saying is just like my head, but how I live my life is according to these terms, and my personal life is a offering for you to see what happens to a person when they live these things, these parallel university things that I'm talking about. So I'm the first student of parallel university, and I'm the first teacher too. Okay. Bado. This is between death and new life. It's called Bado. It's called purgatory. It's called in between. It's called kind of sometimes, you know, it's just like you're not dead, you're not alive, you're just kind of in between. I want to caution you that time is a concept that's in our head. So when I talk about these things and separate them in such clear divisions, it's not that clear. Everything overlaps. You're kind of dead and you're kind of in Bardo, and you're kind of living your new life all at the same time. You are living a life in medieval England as a witch right now, at the same time you're living in 21st century Los Angeles as a goddess. It's just like it's all kind of happening all at once in one. It's a very difficult concept to really, for my mind to grasp, and it just makes me go, whoa. So I just want you to understand. I say this because I want you to understand that it's not really like boom, boom, boom like that. It's kind of, you know, life is like that. It just kind of goes on and on. Sometimes you're dead, sometimes you're in Bardo, and then sometimes you're, oh, I'm in a new life. And sometimes it happens like flip-flop 3-4 times in 1 hour. You know, you're like, oh shit, I'm so depressed, I'm dead, man. And then, oh, I'm in Bardo, and then, oh my God, I'm incredible, I'm a new person, and then, oh, I'm dead again. And, you know, sometimes, like, so, in the olden days, you know, planet Earth goes through that boom, boom, shift really suddenly, but now it's really doing it gradually. Like, it's doing a pole shift, just kind of, like as we got more and more earthquakes, more and more torrential rains and tornadoes and so on, because the process is accelerating, but it's still not going boom like that. So try to, I tell myself, not to go so sudden. Don't make sudden decisions, because while I'm in Bardo, I should slow down. So you look at the death process, after your death, after you're dead, the thing that wow, the helicopters. Sometimes this is my only reminder that my reality is not well, because my reality is really beautiful and really happy. No, not all of it. Yeah, actually, it's not all happy. Some of it is happy. Most of it is happy. A huge portion of it is happy. But this just tells me the collective reality is just like that. So, okay. So the first thing that happens when you die, you leave the body, you go through an out-of-body experience, and you fly above your body and you watch your body. In resurrection, the exact same thing happens. After shit happens, what you do is you take your consciousness above your head and you look down at yourself. You kind of observe yourself. And then you're going to see. Then you kind of raise up to your roof using your consciousness. That's called your third eye, if you like. Call your intuition, if you like. It's a very simple thing. You can do it with your eyes closed. You can do it with your eyes open. You just kind of give it a try right now. You just kind of look at yourself from overhead, looking down at yourself. You can do it. Anyone can do it. If you train yourself. If you can't do it right now, you can do it gradually if you just try, right? You just look down at yourself. Like I'm looking at my mohawk, like this, right? From the top. Then I see this part of my head, and I see my ears, and then I see my glasses from the top, and I see my face, and then I see my shoulders. You see, you know what I mean? See, I am a filmmaker, and It's very easy for me. I just tell myself, oh, use the overhead camera and the overhead view. Well, then I'm just looking down at myself from the top. When I look down at myself, I look at this part of my arm from here, not from here. Right? I look at myself not like this, but from here. How are you doing? Can you see yourself from the top? So, more you practice, more it comes really easily. You can just kind of look at yourself. You're basically kind of spying on your own body. Just like when you are dead, you go into an out-of-body experience. Here, you're not dead, right? You're not dead. Death is 100% right now. You're not dead. You're trying to figure out how much of it you want to keep, you want to let die, and how much of it you want to make new. So you're doing resurrection right now. So do that. Watch your body. Go overhead, watch your body, watch your body, watch your body all the time, in fact. Then in the death process, your out-of-body experience is going to be first, you only see your own body, then you raise up a little bit higher, now you see the doctor maybe trying to resurrect you, trying to like pump your heart or something, and they're like, oh my God, flatline, guy's dead, man, guy's dead. So you are looking down. Now your view has gotten broader. You now see the doctor, now you see the nurse. Then suddenly you see the nurse. I mean, I'm talking about if someone has died in the hospital. So now, sorry, when I talk, I skip because my mind is going so fast. So let me say that, begin that again. When you die, for example, if a person, not you, if a person dies in a hospital, the first thing that happens is your consciousness shoots out of the top of your head and you are looking down at your body. So right now, what I want you to do is look down at your body without dying. Resurrection while you're still alive. So you look down at your body. So then in the actual death, what happens is then the soul goes a little bit higher and now sees the doctor and the nurse trying to resuscitate the dead person. So what it means is the soul now has gone a little bit higher and now see a little bit more. So you do the same thing. You're not dead, so now you not only look at yourself, you kind of look at your house, your room, still from the top. And you look at the people who are involved in your life. You kind of look at who comes to your party, what they're doing at your party. Just observe. Just using an overhead view, using an out-of-body view, looking down at yourself. Then, for example, if a person has died in a hospital, now not only do they see the emergency room in which that person died, they now beginning to see the entire hospital. They see other rooms where other people are in, and they like, that means what? The soul is gone a little bit higher again and the view open up. So you want to do the same thing. You want to observe generally what's happening in your neighborhood, in your life, in your world. You just kind of, it's an out-of-body experience, so you want to get away from really judging what it is. You're just observing. You're just looking. And that's the first step in resurrection. The next step in resurrection is loved ones are going to come to see you. You know, a best friend is going to come and invite you to have a cup of tea because your long-term marriage just fizzled, and people are going to start showing up. People that are concerned about you, people that actually love you. A true friend is a friend when you're in need. So these people are going to show up. The same process happens when a person goes through the big death. non-physical loved ones actually show up and, you know, come to comfort you, bring you into the next dimension. Right now, you're still in the same dimension, but loved one shows up. And very importantly, your spirit guide will show up. Non-physical beings. If you are in a certain religion and you love Jesus, Jesus is going to show up. If you're in a certain religion and you love Buddha, Buddha is going to show up. Just spirit guides. My spirit guide Thoth showed up. An angel called Seth showed up for me. So these spirit guides are going to begin to speak to you from the non-physical realm. Especially when really terrible, terrible things happen. People are like, oh, and then I embrace God. You know, you are in jail. You're in jail. Murder someone, like horrible thing happened. And now you are like out of body watching yourself. Every day you're like, whoa, spirit guide's going to show up. And a lot of people call them God. Yes, they are from the God realm. They are higher level spirit guides that are very close to the God realm, and then there are lower level spirit guides that are closer to the human realm. There are many, 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 many dimensions and many realms, and I don't know too much about it. I just know that there are dimensions and there are realms. And each one of them are inhabited by certain enlightened, ascended beings, you know, more ascended than me, are my spirit guides. It's sort of a higher level, my higher self, really, because we are all one. So spirit guides are going to show up, and I have many stories about how my spirit guides show up and how my spirit guide helped me. In fact, it's an angel helped me start the school, Parallel University, in 2012. When I was in a terrible crisis that I thought I have lost my lover, my soulmate. And I didn't. And it resurrected. So, but the saga is continuing. So spirit guide showed up, human loved ones showed up. Just like when one goes through the big death, in a small death, same thing happens. If you hear a voice talking to you, my advice is start talking back. Start asking questions. Who are you? Really engage in a dialogue with that voice in your head or that image. A lot of people say it's evil or monsters. Yeah, sure. If you ask and this thing consistently tells you to do horrible things, go out, murder people, like, you're like, no, this is not a spirit guide, this is some spirit monster, right? I mean, spirit guides, spirit teachers, spirit has good people and bad people too, so you really have to kind of have discernment. Never lose your common sense. I'm going to have a video about spirit guide that explains everything more clearly. So here it is. Get some advice. Talk to yourself, basically. Talk to your human loved ones. Talk to yourself. Life review. That's the thing. In the big death, you get shoved into this big room that has a round dome. And you go through a life review. Your entire life shows up. You kind of look at everything and assess what you've learned, what you didn't learn, how you want to do it better, how you did not. So in the big death, it's kind of like all at once. Just like I said in Planet Earth, how it goes, post ship, everybody dies, new thing. Same thing. If you die, dead, you know, let's go into the dome room with the non-physical advisors and let's figure out what went right, what went wrong, how. So the three questions being asked, right? Did you love? Did you learn anything? And did you have fun? Those three questions comes from Raymond Moody, who interviewed more than 2,000 people in the, I think, the 70s, and wrote a book, Life After Life. And they said, this is one of the things I remember in the book. Raymond Moody said the advisors in the dome in Afterlife asked these questions. So you want to go through your own life review after this shit happens, and you want to be like, well, did I love? Did I learn something? And did I have fun? So you want to look at the thing that happened in a really kind of a clear way. Slow down. Look at it. Reassess it. That's the life review. And remember, no judgment, no self-attack, no attack on the other guy. Just look at it. That's actually really hard. That's a real meditation. You want to, a lot of times you want to like attack and think it's the other person. That's the first thing. It's like, it's not the other person. It's my life. And whatever the other person did or didn't do caused me to be angry and upset. When I do my review, I always realize it's not him or her, it's me. And I ultimately have to take responsibility, and that makes me a lot less angry. But then I will start self-attacking. And yeah. So that's kind of a death spiral, and then finally I realize I'm in a death spiral. I'm kind of killing myself, so I get out of it. And when you get out of it, what do? You go to a public place. Remember, in the big death, the soul then, after the dome room life review, talk with the advisor, welcomed by the light, and then they go out into this kind of an open space. Sometimes it's a meadow, sometimes it's a big dance hall, sometimes it's gee, death sounds really like kind of fun, isn't it? I mean, I don't want to die, no. I want to be alive right now and resurrect. But like, I mean, you know, this is a very, death is not a bad process. It's just the process that it's quite convenient, because you kind of use the power of the unknown or the power of God to like do this whole thing for you. You kind of, it's like paying for a service or something, you know. It's like, it's all very mysterious and beautiful, and kind of, you know, doing it in life, resurrection is kind of hard. It's just really painful and really terrible experience. That's why a lot of people just kind of prefer to die. Like, okay, I had enough. You know, a lot of young people, right? 23 years old. Just that's a difficult time. Like, holy shit, I'm gonna have to do all this stuff. Maybe death is preferable. And then they have like a car accident, or I'm not saying. I'm just saying some are like that. I'm not saying like maybe some illness. I'm not saying it's always that. I'm saying sometimes is that. There's a possibility that it's that. Not always, just a possibility. Then the other thing is like about 50 years old. It's, oh, you know what? I really did what I came to this life to do. I'm going to die and use the death process to just make a whole new ball game so I can come back as a new person. A lot of times, you know, 70, 80, 90 years old is kind of the common conception that that's how long life's supposed to be. And then you kind of use the death process, which is a beautiful process, to come back as a new person instead of going through resurrection. But as long as you are alive, okay, there's no way out of the resurrection process. You have to either choose to resurrect or you choose to die, you just kind of stay the same. And you just kind of sail straight into it. It's just a matter of time. Those people are walking dead, and you can recognize them, those people. Dang, I hope I'm not one of them. Oof. I talk up a good game, but I'm actually scared if I'm one of the walking dead. All right, let's move on. So go to a public space. So after your life review of yourself, you kind of mull over the incidents, and you had enough. Don't like go on too long for the life review. You don't want to find the faults and learn the lessons. No, just kind of look at it. Look at what actually happened using the out-of-body experience way of looking at your life, and just kind of look at the whole thing, look at who's involved, look at what's going on, and come to no conclusion. That's really important. Don't let your mind come to a conclusion of what happened. Don't say like, oh, that should have happened. No, the past is done. The past is gone. Just let it be. Just look at it. Just look at what's going on with a very clear understanding of what's going on. Try to look at it from many different points of view, and you will see new things. Just try to see new things. That's all. That is all. You don't have to correct it. You don't have to make changes. Nothing. That's it. That's really important. That's really a very important part of resurrection. Is let the past be the past. Because you're going to have a new life. You're only in Bado. In between death and new life. So don't go back to death and try to fix it. Once milk is spilled, it's spilled. No amount of fixing can make a new glass of milk. Only a new glass of milk is new. The one that is spilled, and the glass of milk that is spilled and gone and now mocked up, it's lost. Whatever you did, you did. So now after the death, the life review, you go to a public space. The internet is a public space. The stage is a public space. A club is a public space. A coffee shop is a public space. Go travel to new and unknown land. That's a public space. But the most important thing about being in a public space is engagement. You dare to open up and talk to other people. In the beginning of the resurrection process of a certain death, it's really hard to go out. It's like, you know, for example, you might be lying in bed talking to your spirit guide, and your spirit guide asks you, well, what do you actually want? You're like, I actually like to have sex. I haven't had sex in a long time, and I need to have sex. So what do? You try to go to a public space and like look for someone to have sex, but it's really hard. That's like too big a step. Your mind is like, yeah, go do it, you know, like. But that's really hard, and sometimes not possible at all. You have to start by like just walking out the door for a few minutes and then come back in the house. You need a private space to hide from the world. So you want exposure into the world, but you want to really do that very slowly. Just use the example of want to have sex with a new person. You have to start with walking around the block and try to engage with one person. Hi, how are you? And just go home. Next day, walk a longer section of the neighborhood and see two people. Hi, hi, hi. Maybe the third day, there's a neighbor there. You're like, hey, how are you? Talk a little bit. And then maybe get in the car, now drive a little bit further. Now, then the next day, maybe go to a coffee shop and just sit there and have a cup of coffee, you know, talk to the barista when you are ordering the coffee. That's always a good one. Compliment someone's hairdo. That's always a good one. Seek comfort in strangers. Strangers are just amazing. Strangers are so beautiful. Strangers are, to me, the incarnation of God or the unknown, really. Like, oh my God, I met such an amazing person today, just out of the blue. Or I met such a terrible person today out of the blue. Like, it's really, it comes from the unknown, and it's just so full of, and synchronicity put this person in my way, and it's so full of magic and miracle. So very, very gradually, it might take like a whole year before you like get a chance to maybe even entertain the idea of having sex with someone that is suitable. And then you might have some kind of fantasy, you know, and masturbate by yourself like for a long time before you like dare to just kind of hint at that person, and then that person might say, oh no, no thank you, don't want to do that with you. And you're like, all right, okay, I guess I'll go over there and, you know, try it with somebody else. So man, that process is the resurrection process, and it's happening, and you should be in a public space. For example, I'm a writer, and I try to, instead of writing and just kind of keep it to myself, I try to, Otis, my lover, encouraged me to publish it, and he even started a publishing company just to publish my books. So my books are available on Amazon. The sales pitch. I didn't know I was going into a sales pitch, but that's what happened. Like I put my writing in the public space. I publish my stuff on blog sites like Medium. I try to do open mic, go to open mic, or host open mic. All kinds of stuff to try to get myself out there in my own timid little way. I'm really a very timid person. The internet, Otis, who's kind of my guru, lover, son, he's also my son, you know. Anyway, really encouraged me to go into the internet, because that's where kind of really private, introverted people can be speaking to the world stage. Even given that even nobody watches it, still do it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in the open space, meeting, engaging with the spiritual community, souls at large. And based on synchronicity, I'm kind of getting whatever. I don't know. Not here to get things, I'm here to just do it for myself. So I'm doing it. And I traveled a lot, traveled extensively. So then the next thing in the big death, when you travel through the open space with all kinds of souls mingling around, you mingle with them, and then you travel gradually to your core group. In the big death, your core groups are these souls that have been with you for many lifetimes. It's kind of the people who are in the same class with you, and they kind of like life after life come back to be with you in a certain way. They might like one lifetime this soul is your mother, and then the next lifetime this soul is your husband, and then the next lifetime this soul is the one who came to rescue you from a flood. You know, the significant people who are in your life. Well, and this is my theory. Your blood family are almost always people who are in your life in your spirit soul group, in your non-physical soul group, almost your best friend, the significant people, significant encounters in this life right now while you're alive are most likely the people from your core group, your core soul group. They are all your soulmates. That's why they end up being your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your husband, your wife, your children, and your best friends, and your business partner, and the guy who, lived next to you for the last 25 years. Those people are going to be from your spirit core group. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be nice to them. It just means that you should know that they are your soul core group. They are from the group. It's up to your particular life and your decisions to be nice or not nice, to be more nice or less nice. That's your creativity. That's the fun part. I myself adopt a theory that I've been an extremely angry, vicious, hateful person, and I want to get away from that. So I am engaging in my own practice of trying to be more kind, trying not to attack and react to attacks, like attack and defense and attack and defense. And I'm trying to get away from that loop. Not very successful, I have to say. I mean, I am making progress, or maybe I'm not. Maybe a big death is going to help me wipe it out. But right now I'm trying to resurrect from this hateful person that I am. And I kind of like her. I call her the black witch in me. And I even have a name for her. Her name is Lucy. And she just comes out and she comes out swinging. She comes out attacking and also defending myself. And I kind of like her. I think in this life, it's really good to have a black witch. So I honor her, I love her, and at the same time I try to not have to have too many occasions to use her, but sometimes I would have to, and I do. I mean, there's only so far I can go to just being, someone attack me, and I would say, okay, I love you, bye, and walk away, and then and it's just, sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. But I am trying. I think that's the main thing, is I'm trying in my own way, experimenting in my way to be a more loving person. It's a process. It's by no means over. It's definitely happening. The incredible goddess in me is emerging, for sure. But then maybe not. Sometimes what I will go in an out of body experience and look at myself and go, no, it's pretty much the same girl. I don't know. And then my mind, it just thinks up all kinds of stuff and none of it's true. So whatever. I just have to know that I have set my intention to be a better and better and better person to other people, to my core group, and then to my group at large too. So that's what I want to do in my life. Then the next thing you know, you go to the Akashic Library. You're looking at different people in current reality who are doing things, who have made successful resurrections. I will show you who they are. Talk about a few of them. You go to that library, and there's not that many archetypal people. There's only, from what I've seen, when I was at my own Akashic library during past life regression that I perform on myself, I've seen the Akashic library. For me, there was only 200 books there. My spirit guide said, yep, just about that much. So there are really only kind of 200 ways to live your life. What does that mean? It's up to you. Why don't you think about it? There are only 200 books in the Akashic library, and you're flipping through different sections of that book and trying to pull things from each one and say, oh, okay, archetypally, this mother did this, and I want to see how that works out in my life. And this, like, you know, just kind of, you want to look at your own life. Well, hold on a minute. I'm going through my resurrection, and I'm in the part that says illness. My throat chakra. It's fucking killing me. Trying to. Anger, depression. It's all happening. I'm in a big process of resurrection myself. I'm going to tell you my story. Okay. You're going to keep and delete. Those are the two buttons. You keep something and you delete something. You take something from one book, and the Akashic record are books of other people's lives, archetypal way of living your life. Like, I think, for example, you are born, raised, and die in one lifetime in the same place, and you're going to be this religion, and you're going to live exactly the same life as what your father lived. That's one book in the Akashic record. So it's not like laying out the details of that life, but laying out the general framework of a certain type. So this could refer to a Native American who was born on native land, raised in native land, die in native land, does exactly what the forefathers of that particular Native American group does. That's one type. And then it would also apply to a shaker or a profession like being a mobster. You were born in the mobster family, you grew up in the mobster family, your father is the big boss, and then like the story of the Godfather, and then you become a Godfather yourself, and then that's that. You know, so that's one book in the Akashic record, and you can take from that bits of it that you want to keep. Like, yeah, I want to take over my father's business. I want to do what my mom does. You know, my mom was a brilliant Broadway dancer, and now I'm going to be a modern dancer, not on Broadway, but I want to be a modern dancer, you know, in a modern dance company, right? So that's one book, and that's one way of keeping that life, and then deleting the stuff you don't want, and you go to another book, and you look at another archetypal life, which is the prodigal son's book. Reject family, go away, explore the world, become you know, a king or a homeless guy, complete unknown, disappear. Who knows? That's another book. There's 200 types of life, according to what I saw in my own past life regression that I did on myself, and I will have a video about past life regression. Okay, that's a promise. So, and then what you do is you do a tryout. In your big death, your tryout will consist of going to a different planet and become a completely different life form, coming back to Earth, and like I gave an example of becoming a prostitute for one night, like walk the street, had a few sex with someone, and then the next thing you know, that prostitute disappear, and you know, people come and go like that, become a homeless person for a day in Los Angeles, and then disappear. Like you know, a lot of fringe people are actual soul that has come back for tryouts. So that's in the big death. But in this life, you can also have a tryout. See, you can kind of put on a disguise, like a wig or something, and then just go into a club and just have random sex for the night. And I tried that once. I did. Or like I also have tried out having sex with a woman. I'm always have sex with men. You know, I'm constantly trying out possibilities, just like give it a try. And sometimes it's too scary, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the result is really good. I always learn something. Always find out more about myself. And sometimes it's not glorious, and it's not happy, it's not fun. But I always learn something. So dare to try out. I also forgot that in the big death experience, you also have vacations and hospital stays. As a soul, you are granted vacation in which you... I will talk more about what this afterlife place look like in the higher spirit realm in another video. But I can tell you that it's an amazingly beautiful place as far as my research tells me. I don't know, you know, I have been there, you have been there too, but we forget. So I can only say most likely, probably, it's, yeah, I do remember. It's an amazingly beautiful place. So you get a vacation, you get to just kind of stay there. And a lot of souls stays for Earth time, thousands of years. They don't come back. They just don't come back. But when they do come back, it doesn't mean thousands of years of Earth time has lapsed. It's just they've been gone a long time, so they have to come back, and they choose a time frame to come back. It could be the 1940s. It could be the 14th century. It could be 2017. They could choose a time frame to come back. And anyway, that's the vacation. That's we're talking about the big death. And also the hospital stay, in which you get a lot of healing from non-spirit teachers and healers, and you know, your soul is put back until you are just most beautiful again and ready to go into a different life. So the same thing here, but you kind of have to do it yourself. You have to give yourself a vacation. You have to like rest or meditate or go out, eat ice cream or exercise or do good things for your body, right? And take vacation, maybe go to a spa, that kind of thing. I don't know what suits your fancy. All of that sounds really good to me. I should really give myself vacation more. On the other hand, I just came back from a vacation, so I do pretty well for myself most of the time. But even an incredible person like myself suffer tremendously through my my resurrection. And hospital. Sometimes you need hospital stay, and what I do when I need hospital stay is I go to my fairy godmother's house, and I go see the living Buddha of Ho'oponopono, Dr. Hugh Lan Ihiliakala, and just let my fairy godmothers, Lily and Jojo, hug me. That's my hospital. When I'm there, I come out, my soul is healed. I just, thank you. A shout out to my fairy godmothers, Leslie Rosendock and Joanne Kailikia, and Ihiliakala, Dr. Hewland. I love you, and a lot of times I go there, I'm so broken. I'm so broken. And I just, a lot of times they don't even know. A lot of times they do. They probably do. And they come out healed, and come out good again, and able to continue my process of resurrection. Okay. Then it's time to blast off into a new life. So I just want to briefly tell you about what new life means and give you some example. For example, I'm very impressed with Jim Carrey right now. He was a Dumb and Dumber, you know, famous kind of Dumb and Dumber actor, and then now he's a painter. He's become a spiritual being. So that's I'm sure he's gone through his own personal death, and you bet he went through a horrific bardo, probably still going through it, and now he's emerged as a painter. I want to talk about Jeffrey Preston Jurgensen, who became Jeff Bezos, Amazon Prime, Jeff Bezos, who, if you look at the picture of him before he was Amazon, you know, there was a real death. He looked like some mousy guy, timid, and then he now looks like some kind of like machine being, you know, shave his head, change his name, jump off the cliff of being normal and sane, and just went insane in his own way, gone through this incredible, I just like, I imagine what that process will be to turn himself, who is kind of like that, into Jeff Bezos Prime, man, like the biggest superstore in the world. He's worth, I don't know how many billion. Can you imagine billions? So that's a successful resurrection, I guess. And I'm sure he's also going through more of his own resurrection too. So the process doesn't really end. I'm not saying he's 100% successful. Maybe he's like lacking. These people might be lacking in their own way, and they want to improve in their own way. But I'm just saying, you can see like great big deaths and bardo and new life very clearly from these archetypal successful cases. I don't know if they are actual success cases, but it's from the surface, from where I'm looking at them, like, seems very successful. Elon, PayPal, Musk, you know, now is Elon, SpaceX, SolarCity, Tesla, Musk. That seems like a tremendous change from one type of person into banking, finance, and then, you know, gone through the bardo and come out wanting kind of very big changes for humanity. Like, you know, gone from a money manager to a social spiritual advocate, warrior, doer. That's a change, huh? My mother, who was a mother, owns a small business, came to America, went through her Bado, 20 years it took, and came out the other side as the last 20 years of her life as a Tai Chi master teacher. And my personal experience of her was, she was fairly mentally insane when I was growing up. I inherited a lot of her mental illnesses in here right now. And at the end, she was much more peaceful and was way more advanced spiritually than I am probably even today, still working on it. And the sad thing was, I didn't even see it while she was alive. 10 years after she died, I'm now still continuing to discover how incredible the resurrection she went through from an illiterate girl from Hong Kong. I mean, not illiterate, sorry. From a girl who did not graduate from high school and to a Tai Chi master teacher in Hawaii, and died a very successful woman, financially successful, and her children, me, all doing well. So went from, her resurrection was big and long, and Mom, woo, bravo, Mom, bravo. Moment of gratitude and thanks. Myself, I went from V.B. Shu to Jenny Funkmeyer. Those stories are in my memoir. I've now written 2 memoirs. Book 1, and they call magnum opus. Book 1, Change is Not for the Faint-Hearted. Book 2, Love and Sex in the Fifth Dimension. There's book 3 coming up, called Parallel University. Anyway, I continue to write about my transformation, and it's strange, and don't know what to make of it, but each step is being written down. So I wanted to talk about what is happening to me right now, but I think that's just too long. I think it's enough. You know what I'm saying about resurrection. It's really difficult, and there's no way out. It's happening every day, and maybe some other time I will make a video about what's going on with my life right now, which is really interesting. I'm learning a lot. I'm very grateful for everyone in my life, especially Otis Funkmeyer, that we're going through an amazing death and rebirth process, and we're now in the Bado and working things out. And that process, you know, was in the beginning when we first met, and now is an ongoing process. So I'm going through it myself. Again, please write me with your comments and your questions right here on YouTube. Subscribe, of course. So this has been another Parallel University video. I wish you all the best, and I love you. Bye.